the framers wrote the Constitution, people's view of the environment was much different than it is today. The wilderness was something to be conquered and tamed, and natural resources were viewed as nearly unlimited and to be used for the benefit of individuals and the nation at large. However they viewed nature and wilderness, they included a provision in the Constitution that would one day be used to protect the environment, our natural resources, and benefit the welfare of our nation as well as the world.
Before the Clean Air Act was implemented in the 1970s, the United States faced an environmental crisis. When the Clean Water Act was added in 1972, we saw a large change in water quality very early on.
Just talking with people, the air 30 years ago in Southern California was much, much worse than you have now.
Before the Clean Water Act was in place, before the Clean Air Act was in place, it was a different situation. There was a lot more pollution.
Before environmental protection legislation, New York City had pollution that was so thick that you couldn't see its iconic bridges. The water was undrinkable for many. Fish and other marine animals were dying due to the pollution in the water. Since the passage of the Clean Air, Clean Water Act and the creation of the EPA, things have been steadily improving. Life expectancies have gone up, the amount of pollution within the air has decreased, our overall well-being has improved. These changes have all occurred because our government started taking control of our environment and changing it for the better.
So basically the Commerce Clause is Congress's power to regulate the commerce among several states, which basically deals with interstate commerce.
One part of the Commerce Clause that many people don't know about, but might be its biggest asset, is its flexibility.
Well, what makes the Commerce Clause so flexible is that the way our Constitution is written, because of the vague nature of the language in the Constitution, it makes it easier for us to adapt the Constitution as time goes forward.
Although the framers didn't originally plan for the Commerce Clause to benefit the environment, its flexibility has over time proven its different uses.
Well, it's definitely evolved tremendously over time. It has depended on what the social and political climate of the country has been in terms of the fact of how broadly we will apply it or how strictly we will apply it. But I think the wonderful thing about it is that we make sure that it fits what we need at any given time.
We've seen many cases where the Commerce Clause has been necessary to help restrict productions that may affect the interstate of commerce. One of the main court cases where the Commerce Clause was in action was the 1942 court case of Wickard v. Filburn. In this case, Roscoe Filburn, a farmer, was fined for going over the limit of wheat he was permitted to grow. Filburn argued that he was using the excess wheat for his personal benefit, so it was not interstate commerce. The Supreme Court disagreed, arguing that if they allowed all farmers to go over the limit, then the wheat economy would be affected. This ruling has allowed the federal government sweeping environmental protection legislation under the power granted by the Commerce Clause. Since Filburn, the federal government has been able to regulate how businesses operate to protect economies, industries, and the environment, because the way businesses operate can affect both traditional commerce as well as the health and environment of individuals, which in turn affects commerce as well.
The costs of these events can be measured in lost lives and lost livelihoods, lost homes, lost businesses, hundreds of billions of dollars in emergency services and disaster relief. In fact, those who are already feeling the effects of climate change don't have time to deny it. They're busy dealing with it.
Air quality, water quality definitely affects people's health and welfare, which definitely ends up affecting our economy.
And over the years, the regulations has gotten much stricter, and you can see an advantage in air quality also as new regulations are rolled in.
If we don't have clean air, clean water, it leads to health issues, which ultimately leads to people not being able to work as long, live as long. And when we talk about our country being a capitalistic society, having healthy workers is one of the things that we really look for. And if we don't have clean air, clean water, it really puts us at really health risks more so than anything.
Thinking about how you get to school, products that you buy, and are you buying aerosol cans? Are you throwing trash in the garbage? Are you recycling? Little things like that may seem little, that all adds up. So it's a lot of little things that add up to the big things.
When it's unregulated and nobody's looking at it, then you get really bad situations. People getting cancer more often, asthma more often. Quality of life would be low. You'd be walking around breathing in nasty air and you wouldn't want to jog outside.
So the question now is whether we will have the courage to act before it's too late. And how we answer will have a profound impact on the world that we leave behind, not just to you, but to your children and to your grandchildren.
really just requires us to listen to the citizens of this country and realize what they want and do what is in the best interest for them.
Decades ago, it used to be that that boats that had a lot of barnacles on the hulls, they would go to the back area of the harbor, and it was so toxic back there, all the barnacles would drop off. It doesn't happen anymore. The water is clean.
Southern California in particular is kind of like where everything started. It had really bad smog. It's very progressive, so it's very environmental.
In our hometown of Long Beach, California, we live in the wasteland of two major rivers, the San Gabriel and Los Angeles. Also, our air does not filter through because the LA basin traps the smog, keeping it here for us to breathe.
To address the air quality in the LA basin is among the worst in the nation, and so that forces us to move forward more quickly on making sure that we're addressing those.
People need to advocate for consistent regulation and control to improve it. The quality of our air and water is a very important issue because it impacts us directly since we live at the center of all the action. The environment should be something made sustainable for as long as possible. The flexibility of the Commerce Clause does just that by allowing Congress and the President to compose and pass stricter laws and regulations. This protects anyone worried about if swimming in our water will give them a disease or if breathing in our air will hurt their lungs. We have seen the benefits to stricter environmental regulations and control, and we believe that Congress and the President should continue down this path.